All right, Deputy Scott, if we could swear in the state's next witness and proceed.
Well, affirm that the testimony should give the court is the truth and nothing but the truth to help you.
Yes.
While speaking into your mic, would you please state and spell first and last name for the court?
Logan Dansby, Logandansby.
Hi, Logan. Logan, how old?
I'm 22.
And where do you live?
I live in Smyrna, Georgia.
And do you work? Do you have school or something else?
Right now, I'm just graduated, so I'm just studying for the LSAT right now. I don't work.
Where did you graduate from?
Howard University.
And you said that you are studying for LSTAT. Where did you go to high school?
North Atlanta High School.
And how do you know Michaela Ford?
We met in high school and we were best friends in high school.
Are you still close friends?
Yes.
You said you met in high school. How did you meet in high school?
We met at cheer orientation and cheer tryouts.
And did you meet, were you guys in the same year at school?
Yes.
Did you meet freshman year, sophomore year, or something else?
We met freshman year.
And you said that you were also at cheer tryouts. What type of cheer did you do?
In high school, I just did sideline cheer, football, and basketball.
And in 2017, in the spring, end of the spring semester, were you trying out for cheer or had you already made the team?
For spring semester, we were trying out for the next year.
Were there classes and things that happened over the summer?
We had like small clinics that they would do just to teach cheers and like what's it called? Like working out.
Conditioning?
Yeah, conditioning, yeah.
And so would you see like the other members of the cheerleading team over the summer?
Yes.
Did you see Michaela over the summer?
Yes.
Did Michaela tell you that she was doing anything in addition to the cheer clinics and the conditioning as it related to cheerleading?
Yeah, she took private tumbling lessons.
What did she tell you about the private tumbling lessons?
Well, she told me mostly just how it was private and then how her like relationship with her instructor.
What did she tell you about her relationship with her instructor?
She said that she had interest in him and she liked him. And that was pretty much our main discussions about that.
Did she tell you how old he was?
She told me that she was older, but I don't remember the age.
Did she felt that he, if it was reciprocated, if he also liked her?
Yes.
Did she tell you about the conversations that she had?
She didn't, or I don't remember the specific conversations, but she said they were in communication outside of the tumbling lessons.
Did she tell you like how they were communicating? Like if it was via text message, if it was on Facebook or Instagram?
Snapchat.
And did she tell you at any point that something had happened physically between herself and the cheer instructor?
Yeah, she told me that they went down on each other one session.
So when she told you that they went down on each other, and I know this is uncomfortable to talk about, but what did you understand that to mean?
So he performed like oral sex on her, and then she also performed oral sex on him as well.
Did she tell you if that was something that she wanted to do?
She did, in my understanding, she did want to, and there was kind of a buildup of like flirting and everything that led up to that moment.
What did you tell her when you heard about this?
I
What's
kind
relevance?
Probably probative to the witness's testimony.
All right, overruled.
So I told her it was inappropriate and I wasn't comfortable with that situation, and that it wasn't right that they both, or that happened.
Did you tell Michaela to do anything?
I told her that she should speak about it with her mom and let her know that that happened because I felt like she was taken advantage of.
And what was Michaela's reaction when you told her that?
Objection relevance.
The victim's reaction overall.
She kind of had like conflicting emotions, I felt like, about it, just because there was initial interest. But I kind of told her like that wasn't right, and she kind of had like a realization that, okay, maybe that wasn't what should have happened.
So you said that she kind of had a realization. Was this something that she said to you? Was it her facial expression? Tell me about that.
I remember we were texting about it, so she kind of just agreed with me. That's how I knew that she had that realization. And then I was telling her to tell her mom, and she said that she would tell her mom. So that's how I knew she had the realization that it was wrong.
And do you remember when you were texting with her about it? Was this, when she was telling you about it, was it a while after it had happened? Was it close in time to when she was telling you that it happened? Tell me about that.
It was close in time because this wasn't just like a spur of the moment, like, oh, I did this. It was kind of a build up. I'm sorry. Like I've known about the situation since it began. So it was kind of a build up. So she told me close to when it happened.
Did you and Michaela talk about it further after that?
We discussed mainly like what she told her mom and kind of what they decided to do in the course of action they decided to take after it happened.
Did you and Michaela ever talk about it in detail?
What in detail?
Like about what had happened in detail?
Yeah, she told me she told me as everything was happening, so that's how I knew in detail. It wasn't like it already happened and then she told me after it happened. I was kind of there during the whole process.
So to put it another way, when she was telling you about, I mean, stalked her and kind of flirting with him and then moving to Snapchat, that it was your understanding that was contemporaneous or happening at the same time, like when the communications were happening,
Yes.
which is going to tumbling class and all of those things.
Yes.
Okay. After she told you about the oral sex, did you talk about it with her in detail again?
No.
All right. And have you guys remained close since high school?
Yes, we're still best friends.
No, I'll pass the witness.
So, you personally were not involved in going to this location to get tumbling instructions, is that correct?
Correct.
No further questions, thank you.
Any redirect on that point?
No, Your Honor, and the witness may be released from subpoena.
You can step down. Thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Davidson.
thank you.
Call Marcia.
Your Honor, the state will call Marcia Ward.
I will have the 911 call.
Are you introducing tumbling?
I don't have any discs.
Your Honor, we're going to stipulate to the foundational requirements for the 911 call. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, okay, no, that's okay. Ms. Ward stepped. So we just need a brief moment.
That's fine. On that point, what did we go ahead and have those identified for the record and admitted? So that is going to be Exhibit 8.
Your Honor, the 911 call would be, yes, Exhibit 8.
All right, so 8 and 9 are admitted by stipulation and without objection into the record, may be published at any point. Maybe we go ahead and do that now.
Sure.
Yeah, I got another one here to this.
So I have to do something with the audio settings.
Have one of you, you've already been added as a co-host, right, Ms. McCauley? Okay.
Yes, hi. I'm in at the location on National 5539 of Asheville, and I need to file police report regarding an incident involving a minor. And I spoke with someone yesterday. They told me just to come here and to call, and you guys was in the office to take the report. Okay. All right. What was the phone number you're calling from, ma'am? Yes, 404-408-3789. 408-3789? Yes. And what's your name? Marcia, MARCIA, and the last name is Ward, WARD. All right, Ms. Ward, what is it in reference to? It's in reference to an assault that was taking place on my daughter. And what's the location? Where it took place? On Weedale Drive, I believe it's Weedale or Wendell Drive off of Brooklyn Industrial. When did it occur? That's put on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. Was it a hotel or something? No, it was at a gymnastics, a cheer gymnastics center, and it was a gymnastics coach that was supposed to be assisting her. All right, and give me a description of yourself, ma'am. You black, white, Hispanic? Yes, black. What color is your shirt? I have on a royal blue shirt. I'm in a gray, 2006 Lexus year. All right, we'll get my steps on the process, okay, ma'am? Okay, now, you know what the timeline is for it? No, ma'am, we don't have an ETA. Okay. So I suppose I could go home and they could just send an officer to the house too, huh? What's your home location? It's 1290, and it's Martinez, MARTINE Court. Oh, that's Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. Let me see, I actually can, let me see. 408. Yes, no, my ex-10 sent for an officer to come to your house. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm about 20 minutes from there now, and I'm headed home. Okay. Because I'm assuming it was, do you have any idea, like, would it be an hour if I wait here for him, or? It's probably best to know if you like to wait at home. I recommend waiting at home. Got it, okay, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna head home now and just send them to my house. Yes, ma'am. Perfect, okay. What's your name or your ID number? 1447. 1447. Thank you so much. You're welcome. And you have 1290 Martini Court, Atlanta 351. Correct. Great. Okay. Thank you again. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Your Honor, again, the state calls Marcia Ward.
He's welcome.
Yes.
Let me see. Speaking to the mic, please state your spell your first and last name for the report.
Okay, yes. My name is Marcia Ward, MARCIA
Morning, Ms. Ward.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Thank you for your patience. So you've already been sworn in, and the mic, you want to make sure you just kind of lean in so everybody can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Ward, where do you currently reside? You don't have to give your actual address, just where.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, in Fulton County.
Yes.
And how long have you lived here in Atlanta?
I've lived in Atlanta since 1989.
Okay. So in 2017, you still would have resided in Atlanta.
Yes.
Live in the same place now as you did in 2017?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you currently employed?
Fulton County School.
Relevance.
Your Honor, building rapport with the witness.
I think basic introductory biographical information is all out, overruled.
Thank you, Judge. Where are you currently employed?
Yes, Fulton County Schools.
In what capacity?
I'm a teacher.
Okay. And do you have any children?
Yes,
How many children do you have?
I have three children.
And what are their names?
So my son, his name is Evan. He's 31. I have another daughter, Morgan. She's 27. And then Michaela is 22.
Okay. So Michaela would be your youngest. You said she's 22.
Yes.
Okay. And generally, not any specifics, generally, how's your relationship with all of your children?
It's great.
Overruled.
It's great.
Okay. And are they able to share things with you?
Absolutely.
Is that also true for Michaela?
Yes.
What type of activities were your children? I know that have they all gone off to college? Or are they still in college?
Yes. So my son, he's a recent graduate. He just earned his MBA at Harvard. Morgan, my 27-year-old, she's currently an attorney.
Keep it confined to Ms. Ward.
I will.
Okay.
Excuse me, the alleged victim in this case.
As it relates to
Okay.
Michaela.
Yes.
What, has she graduated from college?
No, she's slated to graduate in December this year,
And what year did she graduate from high school?
2020.
2020. What activities, was she involved in any activities
Yes.
in high school?
Yes.
What activities was she involved in?
Objection cumulative.
Overruled.
She was involved in cheerleading.
Thank you. And I'm not a big cheer person. Was that varsity, junior varsity?
Yes. So she started, I believe, in junior varsity her freshman year, but then she progressed to varsity.
Okay. For a specific sport, or is cheerleading?
Cheerleading.
All thing? I'm
Yes.
saying, did she cheer for a specific sport or just for the school in general?
She cheered for football and basketball. Football, primarily, I think, her freshman year, and then thereafter, it was both football and cheerleading.
Okay. At any of her cheer matches, did she ever take any photos or anything?
Yes.
Your Honor, showing the witness what has been marked as State's Exhibit 6 and also previously shown to defense counsel. Can you take a look at that photo and tell me what that's a photo of?
Yes. That is from her freshman year, I believe, as a cheerleader at her high school.
Has there been any substantial change, any substantial changes, additions or deletions to that photo?
No.
And is it fair and accurate representation of Michaela as a cheerleader?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, State moves to admit State's Exhibit number 6.
Exhibit 6.
No objection.
6 admitted without objection.
Commissioner Butler?
You already have? All right.
As needed. Now, did she only cheer at school?
No.
Where else did she cheer?
Her freshman year, she cheered at a competitive gym called Stingrays.
Okay. And can you talk about that? It's competitive. Is it matched with the high school, or is it sort of a standalone?
So it's a standalone, it's an
No,
addition.
man. When there's an objection, we have to
Objection
wait.
cumulative.
All right, understood. Overruled.
Yes, sir.
You can answer the question if you
Okay.
remember it.
So Stingrays is a cheer gym and they do competitive cheerleading. So it would be a supplement in addition to cheering at school. So it's separate. It's not a part of the school.
Understood. So if I could direct your attention back to the year of 2017, I know this was some time ago. How old would Michaela have been back then?
In 2017, she would have been 15.
Been 15, and was she enrolled in Stingrays, you said,
Yes.
at that time?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Roughly what grade would that be?
I think she ninth grade. Yeah, I think around ninth grade,
Okay.
10th grade, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
ninth or 10th.
Okay. And where was she living?
She was living with me.
And so
you said she was involved in the stingrays. Were there any practices or anything that she had to go to for the stingrays or for her
Yes.
cheerleading career?
Yes. So when she was in ninth grade, because that was the year she did stingrays. She didn't do it 10th grade, I don't believe, but she definitely had to attend multiple practices, 3 times a week, if I recall, because I was driving to Kennesaw. So it was literally about 40 to 45 minutes one way. So because she was on a competitive team, it did involve multiple practices, multiple times a week.
Okay. And are there different levels of difficulty to this?
Yes.
With those 3 times a week, is that something that needed a lot of practice or additional help?
Yes, it really would have depended on the level of the team in terms of her skill set.
So when you talk about her skill set, is it in 2017, was there any skill sets that that Michaela potentially was looking to work on or anything?
Yes, she was looking,
I'm going to object based on hearsay. This falls outside the scope of the child hearsay statute. This is an outcry witness, so anything that the complainant stated to this witness when it comes to the context of the alleged incident is perfectly admissible.
Okay.
But going
Well,
beyond these matters.
the question, I think, Mr. Marks, was basically the witness's knowledge of her daughter's cheerleading abilities, and if there's a specific skill she needed to work on. I don't think that's something that's specifically relying on just through hearsay.
My contention would be that her knowledge of that is based on what the complainant has stated to her, so
Maybe.
that would implicate hearsay.
Could also be what she's seen. Mr. Beals, you want to lay the foundation and establish how she came to know this?
Thank you, Judge. Did you go to many of Michaela's practices?
yes,
Did you observe that she would have needed to work on any skill sets?
yes, she needed to work on her backhand spring. That was one of the skills that she was looking to acquire.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did she talk to you about how she could acquire that new skill?
Somewhat in terms of just having additional help, because when they would go to practice at Stingrays, it would be more so team practice. So they weren't necessarily getting the one-on-one.
And did Michaela look to receive any more singular practice or singular assistance?
Yes, she did request at that time. I'm not sure if it was that time, but when it was more so when she had the opportunity to work with someone one-on-one. Yeah.
And did that opportunity come about?
Yes.
How so?
So her sister and her sister's friend, they were going to what was supposed to be a cheer coach or a tumbling coach or at a gym. And she asked if she could go with them. And they actually told her that she could come along and that all she would have to do is pay the fee when she attended the sessions. And so that this supposed tumbling coach was to work with them one-on-one on the skills that they wanted to acquire. And so she went with her sister and her sister's friend, Alina, and it was another young lady, I believe, to these practices at this gym to work on her skills. And she would go along with them to these practices.
Okay. And so this would have been in 2017. How, you say her sister Morgan? You said.
Yes.
And
Here, I'm going to level another objection based on OCGA section 246613, which has certain criteria that has to be established before someone can testify about a prior consistent statement. My contention is that we're dealing with prior consistent statements, not an outcry witness statement, which is totally separate and apart from the child hearsay statute. It's one thing for an outcry witness to testify about what the complainant stated in reference to the actual incident of alleged abuse. When you're going beyond that, you're dealing with what I would contend to constitute prior consistent statements, which is governed by OCGA section 24.613C. And it states a prior consistent statement shall be admissible to rehabilitate a witness if the prior consistent statement logically rebuts an attack made on the witness's credibility. So my contention is that this evidence is inadmissible because it contravenes OCGA section 24.613 subsection C. Thank you.
Your
Oh,
Honor,
all right, Mr. Peebles, what do you think?
Your Honor, it goes to the facts and circumstances surrounding what's known and what the witness has observed, what the witness, it also goes to the facts and circumstances surrounding the disclosure, Your Honor, which is part of the child hearsay statute.
No, I don't think counsel is really contesting the purpose. I think he's kind of trying to point out or raise an issue if there's an interplay between 613 and 801. Any thoughts there?
1 second.
Prior consistent statements. And it's not necessarily prior consistent statements because it is captured within the facts and circumstances. So it is separate from a prior consistent objection is prior consistent statement. It's not being offered for the purposes of prior consistent statement. It's being offered for the purposes of child hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not being offered for the purpose of prior consistent statement. It's being offered for the purpose of child hearsay.
All right, and I'll also note that 801D1A incorporates 613 as essentially a non-hearsay definition concerning prior statements, whereas child hearsay is a more specific exception, and which has already been applied here. So overrule the objection. You may re-ask the question, Mr. Peebles.
Thank you, Judge. So you said that, so back in 2017, you said that she was going to this gym with your other daughter, Morgan, and her friend Elena. How old would Morgan have been in 2017?
Morgan would have been 20 at the time.
Is it known to you how old Elena was at that time?
I think she was 20, almost maybe 21. I'm not sure.
And where was the gym located?
So the gym was located off of Fulton Industrial.
You recall the actual address?
No, I don't remember the exact address, but I think it was on the street, Window Street, something like that. It was like a street way off of Fulton Industrial.
Okay, and that would have been in Fulton County.
Correct.
And how many times did Michaela go to this gym?
I don't remember the exact number of times that she went to the gym with this train. I don't think it was that many sessions that she went. Yeah, I don't recall the exact number.
And did she always go with her sister and Elena?
She typically went with them, but there was one time where she didn't.
Okay. Talk to me about the one time that she didn't. Why does that stand out to you that it's the one time that she didn't?
Well, the one time she did not go and she went to the session herself without them was the time that she was assaulted. And that's why it stood out to me, because as a mother, I felt that I shouldn't have let her gone one-on-one with him.
Okay.
But when I dropped her off, she was not one-on-one. There were people at the gym. So, I'd taken her to other gyms, where she had gone to tumbling classes. It was never been an issue. But when I dropped her off, again, there were people there. There were lights on. And I remember wanting to stay. And I said, is it okay? I remember talking to this person who was supposed to be coaching her and asking him, may I write you a check? I said, I don't have cash on me. And he said, no, he insisted I have cash. So I then went to the store to get cash. When I left the gym, the lights were on. There were other students in the gym. But when I returned, during the process, when I went to the store, there was a storm. It started to rain. And when I got back, all the lights were off. I pull up. They walk toward the car. He's walking her to the car. He opens the door, and I said, why is it so dark? He said, oh, the lights went out. The lights were out, and, you know, we were the only ones here now because everyone left because the lights went out. And he opens the door. She gets in the car, and I didn't think anything about it at the time. As a mom, I just feel like I shouldn't have left her there.
Did, so, let's talk about what you just said. You said that you spoke to, who was supposed to be the cheer instructor, the tumbling
Yes,
instructor?
the tumbling coach, supposedly the tumbling coach.
Did you get a name for the coach?
Yes,
What was the name?
De'Aaron,
Okay.
they called him DJ.
Okay. Do you see that same individual here in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you identify him by something he's wearing, or
that's him right there.
can you explain something that he's wearing?
Yes, he has a plaid shirt on
Where is he seated?
in the middle, right there at this table between this attorney here, and I'm not sure who she is, but at that table right there.
Thank you. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
So you asked if he would accept a check. How much were the classes for?
$25,
Okay. And,
25, 35, somewhere around there, yeah.
okay. And you said that you went to the store. What, do you recall what store?
I do. I went to Kroger because I said, well, I can write a check and get cash, the difference cash back. And so that's what I did.
And Ms. Ward, this roughly when in 2017 might this have been?
This would have,
What part of the year?
oh yeah, it was in June.
What stands out about June to you?
My daughter's birthday, my other daughter's birthday.
Okay. Morgan,
Yes,
when's her birthday?
June 8th.
Okay. So the timeline stands out to you because it's around
Absolutely.
your other daughter's birthday.
Yes.
So had you ever been to or taken Michaela to any of her tumbling practices or classes?
Outside of this gym? Yes.
Okay. And is it common that they would have a one-on-one?
At the other gyms?
Yes.
No. Typically, they would, it depends on what you signed up for. And so this was different in a sense because she was going typically with the group and he was just saying he was agreeing to provide these services. But when I took her to other gyms, she was usually a part of her team.
Now, do you know what the frequency of the payments for the classes were?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
Was it per class?
Per class for her, for it's per class.
Okay. And generally, as you recall, what time of day would these practices, these lessons be when Morgan and Elena would go to the tumbling class?
I believe it was usually in the afternoon or evening. I think around maybe 5 or 6. I can't recall the exact time. But I do know that particular day, it was in the evening. And because when I got back, when I dropped her off, it was in the evening. But when I got back, it seemed like, well, it was dark for one because the lights were out at the gym. And that was significant.
When you say when you pulled up to the gym, what, can you describe what the gym looked like? Does it look like a lifting weights gym, or what did it look like?
No, it just seemed like it was housed in like a warehouse type of building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a case where you actually go inside?
I did. I went inside that particular day because when I walked in, I asked him specifically, I said, hey, I'm going to stay. There were some chairs and I'll just wait. And I said, is it okay if I pay you by check? And he said, no, I have to have, he insisted that I have cash.
Was that odd to you?
It was. And I said, I'm not going to say it was odd. I just like, well, maybe that's the only way he takes payments. I don't even think I thought about it as much. I just said, well, I'll just go get cash. Typically with her other gym, when she was cheering for competition, it was a different type of payment process. So
And when you picked Michaela up that day,
yes,
Let's see, that evening, roughly what time would it have been when you pulled back up? And you said that it was dark.
I don't know, maybe, I can't recall the exact time. Yeah, it would have been, I don't know, just enough time for me to go to the store, get cash and come back. So within I don't know, maybe about, it might have been an hour or so, a little over an hour. Because I did go to the Kroger on Cascade Road. So I'm not sure if it was 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm not sure the exact timeline.
okay. And on the way home that day, did Michaela say anything to you?
Not on the way home, no. She was pretty quiet in the car on the way home.
Okay. And um, did Michaela speak to you about anything later that would have occurred at the gym?
She did, yes.
Can you talk to me about that?
So the day she was at the gym, I believe it was a Wednesday, and it was Friday. I remember that because it was my other daughter's birthday, and we were giving her a surprise birthday party. And it was that day that I was in the car and we were driving somewhere, and she said, Mom, I need to tell you something. And she says, something happened. I did something. And then I remember, I think I pulled over after she told me what happened, what she said he did. I remember her saying she said no. She tried to make him stop, but he forced her head down there. These are the words I remember her telling me. And I just remember going into like, I felt numb because I had to pull over because I remember saying, wait a minute, are you saying that he physically forced you to put I said, he's, and she started crying. And I just feel like I hadn't experienced anything like that where I'm like, my daughter, my child who I'm supposed to protect would share something like that. And so I remember her telling me that she said they planned it. And I said, well, what do you mean you planned it? But she told me they planned it. And I asked her how specifically this happened. And she said that when everyone left the gym, this is when it happened. But she kept saying, but Mom, I said no. I said no, but he pushed my head down there. And she communicated that he forced her to have oral sex. And She was so embarrassed by it that she didn't want to go into complete detail, and she was crying and upset. And I just remember hugging her, and I said, okay, we have to call the police. And that was my first, we have to call the police. And because this was rape, this was a violation of what, and so, and I just remember being, like I said, just feeling numb when she told me that. But I do remember we saying we have to call 911. And they instructed me, I'll let you ask me, but what they instructed me to do.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I just remember it because it was my daughter's birthday, and she was carrying that day.
When you said that Michaela described to you oral sex, did she explain what that meant?
No, she didn't explain. She just told me what he did. She's, said that he had her head, forced her head. She tried to come up. She said no. She didn't want to do it. She said that she knows that they planned this, but she got scared and said she didn't want to do this. But he insisted and kept talking to her, saying it's going to be okay, and kept talking her through it, and just forced her to do it. And she says she didn't want to do it at the last minute. She didn't want to do it.
And you said that Michaela talked about how they had planned it.
Yes.
Did she explain to you what that entailed or what that meant?
She did. She said they communicated prior to that. And they talked about having this time to do this. It was just over Snapchat that they talked about it, she said.
And how did that make you feel?
Oh, enraged. I was angry. I was enraged. I was hurt. I felt like I failed her as a mother. I'm like, I said, I drove you there. I took you there. I felt like I failed her. I remember even having a conversation about that how could I?
Objection, Your Honor. The feelings of this witness are not relevant.
All right, Mr. Peebles, let's move on to the next topic.
Thank you. You said that Michaela talked about this on, that they had communicated on Snapchat.
Yes.
So did Michaela have a cell phone at this time?
Yes.
And did you provide it to her?
I didn't provide the cell phone to her. She was on her dad's plan at that time. Yeah.
And had she used did she use her phone to schedule any other practices at any other gyms?
No.
And did you, when she explained to you about how they communicated on Snapchat, did you advise her of how to handle communicating with him?
I just said, don't have any communication with them. Yeah. And, we have to call 911, and they took it from there.
Okay. So when you called 911, did you go to the station or did they come to you? How did that occur?
So when she first told me, I called 911 because I needed to report it. And they instructed me then that I had to go into the station. So I go into the station, and then I had to call from the station, and they instructed that an officer would come to my home and take the report.
And did an officer come out to your home?
Yes.
How long after you made the call?
It was maybe a couple hours after. It wasn't that long. It was that afternoon he came out. in the evening, afternoon sometime.
Was it just one officer or several officers?
Just one officer,
Male officer, female officer?
male officer.
And when you, and what did you tell the officer?
What happened, what Michaela had communicated, that I took her to work with who was supposed to be a tumbling coach, and that he assaulted her by forcing her to have oral sex. And then I let Michaela communicate because she was right there and she informed him.
And you said that, that it was around your other daughter Morgan's birthday on June 8th. Was something planned?
So Morgan's birthday is June 8th, but the party was June 9th.
There was going to be a party.
Yes, so we had a surprise birthday party for her that was planned that Friday, June 9th. And so the report, I made it because I called 911 the day of the party, which was, I believe, after the party. And that's when they instructed that I would have to go to the station. And so because of the party, I had to go to the station that Saturday. I went to the station that Saturday morning. So it was that Saturday, early afternoon. And then they took it from there.
When you say there was a surprise party, was it at a home or an event center?
It was at a restaurant
Okay.
that Friday.
Do you recall which restaurant?
Benihana's, I believe it was.
Okay. And was Michaela there?
Yes.
Do you recall what her demeanor was at
Oh.
the party?
Yeah, I didn't understand why she seemed to be really distant, and she just looked sad. She was just sad. But of course, later then I know why she was so sad.
Any photos of Michaela at the party?
I took a lot of photos, and yeah, she was in some of the photos.
Showing the witness what has been previously shown to defense counsel and marked as State's Exhibit number 7.
Can you take a look at that and tell me what that's a photo of?
It's a photo of Michaela at Morgan's birthday, surprise birthday party.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of what you described?
Yes.
Have there been any substantial additions, changes, or deletions?
No.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state moves to admit State's Exhibit.
No objection.
7 a minute without objection.
Are you all right? You need a moment? Take a moment, Your Honor.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
Talk to Michaela since about any of this.
Yes. She doesn't like to talk about it though.
And how do you think it's affected her?
Section calls for speculation.
I could rephrase.
I'll try that.
She had an opportunity to observe how this has affected her.
Have you had an opportunity to observe how this has affected Michaela?
Yes.
Same objection.
All right, overruled.
Yes.
And how so?
Her behavior in school, just getting anxious, definitely not wanting to have a lot of conversation at all about it, just wanting it to go away. Uh, you know, she wishes she could just press it down and just go away. And, you know, it's really impacted her with just being sad.
Did Michaela talk to you about whether or not she wanted to press any charges?
No, she didn't. I was the one that said, hey, we have to file a police report.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ward.
Any cross-examination?
I have no questions.
This witness be excused, Mr. Peebles.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ward. All right, how much time do you think the parties would like for afternoon break here? Ms. McCauley?
30 minutes, Judge. We have the Zoom witness available at 1 PM.
Mr. Marks?
I'm not asking for a break, but whatever you all want, fine. They
All right, let's break until 1 o'clock.
All right.
And you're saying at this point, the next witness you would call is someone who's in Montana over Zoom?
Oregon.
Oregon, okay.
For Zoom.
And Mr. Marks, you don't have any confrontation clause issues or concerns over this remote manner of testimony?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we are sure she has a stable internet connection and everything like that?
Yes, and I think Mr. Peoples is going to talk to her on the break to make sure all of that is ready to go.
Okay, she's got the Zoom link.
Yes?
All right, we'll be in recess till 1 p.m. We're off the record.
It is part of the disclosure.
So I'm gonna go back.
Why don't we take everybody back? And why don't you leave out now?
Okay.
And then I'll meet you guys up there, okay?
If they
Or this morning?
Earlier, you gotta go to somebody's bedroom.
But she has the Zoom link, Raglan has a Zoom link.
I've never been to a shotgun house, but, are they only in New Orleans or do they have them in other places?
No, I live in a shotgun house.
You know, other
Yeah,
places.
they're here in Atlanta, like the, like Old Fourth Ward and stuff. I live down in Pittsburgh, so I have a shotgun house.
You look, oh, okay, but is it mainly a southern thing? Do they have any of that stuff?
Yeah, so, I mean, my neighborhood is designed after, like, it's Pennsylvania, which is why I call it.
So it's not just in New Orleans.
No. But I mean, to his credit, you can see my back door from my front door.
Yeah, that's.
But it was, yeah,
So.
it's a 100-year-old house.
Yeah, you knock somebody's front door and they say, hey, man, you gotta come in. Yeah, she in the kitchen. And you in the bedroom, you gotta go to the bedroom,
Huh.
then we gotta go to the bathroom. You see
Yeah.
in the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Order. I go quarter.
Yes, yeah, is she on? She's on.
Perfect.
Great.
That's the witness. We can just get ready. Oh, my client's not here.
In the hallway.
He's right.
All right.
Yeah, but in the.
Hey there. Huh?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some water?
I'll see if I can find my client, Judge.
You got a phone number for him, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, we're ready.
All right, ready to go back on the record, Miss McCauley,
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Marks,
Yes, Judge.
Miss Smith? We are back on the record. State versus Darren Johnson, State McCullough witness.
Your Honor, actually, the state would just briefly recall Ms. Marcia Ward.
All right,
I object.
on the grounds,
Can't think of any.
the groundless objection is overruled.
Take her.
Just.
Take.
How? When?
All right, I think she was excused from her subpoena already, so we should swear her back in.
You swear affirm that the testimony should be in accordance to truth and nothing but the truth to help you.
Yes.
State spell your first and last name from the report.
Okay, yes, Marcia Ward, MarciaWard.
Ward, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Ward, earlier this morning, in prior testimony, you stated that Michaela made an outcry to you. Afterwards, after that outcry, did you take Michaela to seek any medical treatment?
I did. It would have been the following I believe it was the following week. Yes.
And why? What was the purpose of that?
One, to make sure she hadn't contracted any diseases.
From what you understand, was it for a forensic medical exam?
She went for a forensic interview that was separate, but the doctor, it was not a forensic to my knowledge. It was not. It was a doctor's appointment to make sure she didn't have any diseases as a result of what happened to her. That's it. Okay.
Cross on this point, Mr. Marks.
When you, you testified about how you picked up, your daughter Michaela on the day in question, correct?
Correct.
And you received payment on that day, is that right?
I didn't
Or
receive
you
payment.
you paid for that session, is that right?
Correct.
And, did you get out of the car and actually go into the gym and pay?
He walked her out to the car. So
Okay.
when I pulled up, he was walking her out to the car.
So how was the payment done?
I gave him the payment through the car.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you never left the car
No.
and you never
uh,
went into the gym, is that correct?
No, afterwards, the lights were out. He came out immediately with her.
Okay. And could you tell whether the garage door was up or down?
I don't recall. I believe it was down, but I'm not sure. I can't recall and state that because I was in the car.
Okay, I have no further questions.
All right, can this witness be excused again? Thank you, Ms. Ward. Statement call, second witness.
State will call Miss Nika Porter.
All right, do we have a Ms. Porter joining us by Zoom? And if so, if we could get her admitted to the Zoom call and put her on the full screen here.
She is on the Zoom call.
I'm sorry, we didn't catch that.
She is on the Zoom call, but she is not connected with audio.
All right, so I can't see her. I don't know if we can put her screen on. We could try to get some verbal indications or nonverbal indications. Hello. Yes, we can hear you now. We still. There we go. We're adding your screen here. And Ms. Vortis, if we could just make that the primary and only screen here in the courtroom. All right, so before we get started, Ms. Porter, I just want to kind of do a sound check here. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, and counsel, can you hear her all right?
I can, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Porter, we're going to have a deputy here who's going to come to the podium microphone and swear you in. If at any point, Ms. Porter, you can't hear us or understand something, please just speak up and we'll repeat it for you.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony should get a court is the truth and nothing but the truth so help you?
Yes, I do.
Would you please state and spell your first and last name for the court?
Neka Porter, Nneka, last name Porter.
Ms. Porter, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Porter, where are you currently employed?
I do travel nursing, so right now I am in Oregon.
Okay. And how long have you been
You kind of broke up. How long have I?
a travel nurse?
Since June last month.
Okay. And prior to that, what was your occupation?
I was a nurse, but I wasn't a travel nurse. So I was just a nurse. Like I worked at Northside. I worked at a place out in Norcross.
Okay. Back in 2017, what was your occupation?
I worked at Northside, and I also owned a cheer gym, and I was a college student.
Okay. You said you owned a cheer gym. What was the name of that gym?
Resolute Spirit Athletics,
Where was that located?
in Atlanta, off of Fulton Industrial. I forget the name of the street.
Okay. Was that in Fulton County?
Yes.
And how long did you own that gym?
I think about 5 years, maybe something like that.
I'm so sorry. You say it
I
again?
think about 5 years
5 years.
or approximately.
And what type of gym are we? You said a cheer gym. What amenities would the cheer gym offer? Your cheer gym offer?
Uh, we primarily did competitive cheer and dance where we traveled around the Southeast, but we also did tumbling lessons and private lessons
Okay.
and for schools or individuals.
Okay. And did you only own the gym or did you also provide any classes or lessons?
Did I provide classes? Yes,
Okay.
I was the head coach.
Okay. And how many employees did you employ?
Just myself. Everybody else was they were like volunteer.
Okay. How many volunteers did you have?
Um, Over the years, I don't remember, but at any given time, maybe 2 or 3. My daughter was a staple. DJ was a staple, and the other coaches kind of came and went. Like maybe they did it for the summer while they were home from college, or you know.
You said that one of your employees, you said, excuse me, one of the volunteers, you said DJ was a staple. Do you know that person DJ by any other name?
Darion Johnson.
Okay. And Your Honor, I don't know if she's able to see the,
I see him.
are you able to describe, do you see that person on the Zoom screen?
Yes.
Can you describe them by something that they're wearing?
It looks like he has on a plaid shirt and he looks like he has locks or twists. I can't really tell.
Okay. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Now, Ms. Porter, you said that DJ
Mhm.
was a staple at your gym. What does that mean that he was a staple?
Like I've known him for a long time. So he would I would do most of the competitive cheer teams and like say they'll come in and do their routine, but then one day would be strictly for tumbling. So he was a tumbling coach.
Okay.
But
And
he
you said,
did teams, he did privates, he did classes, and I also had an adult team. He helped with that.
you said that he did privates and classes. Was he ever paid for any of his work?
For privates,
How much might that have been?
I think like maybe $25, something like that.
Okay. And did you ever pay him at all?
So he would have his private lesson. So like I wasn't always there. I wasn't there most of the time. So I would just do he signed a I think it's an I-9, like so he could do his own taxes. And so let's say the private lesson was $35 or 45. I honestly don't remember anymore, but he would take 25 and then give me the 10 or whatever it was. Like not me, but the gym, because
Okay.
this is where you're holding your classes. So
Okay.
he did mostly like the high school girls and up because they were like bigger than me. And I would do like middle school girls and down. I'm very short. I'm like 4'11". So And then he was just really good at spotting and all that type of deal. So that's what he did.
Okay, there's a couple things we want to talk about there. You said that you've known him for a long time. How long have you known the defendant?
I honestly want to say since he was maybe around 18. I don't know the exact age, but I want to say somewhere around there. I know he was not in high school, but I also know he wasn't like in college or anything. So somewhere around there. He was very young.
Okay. In 2017, do you know how old he would have been?
In his 20s, like
Your Honor, we're
maybe
perfectly comfortable
26.
with stipulating as to my client's age and his date of birth. That will speed things along.
All right, Mr. Peebles, let's get to the next topic.
Thank you, Judge. You said that he worked specifically with the high school girls and up. And you also said that you weren't present all the time. How often would the defendant be at the gym?
Maybe about 3-4 times a week.
Okay. Was there a time period that he might be there?
Mostly in the evenings because kids are in school during the day. So unless it was summertime. But during the school year, our classes started at like 6.
Okay. Now, in the summer of 2017, specifically June of 2017, do you recall if you ever offered any classes yourself? Or around the same
yeah.
time that the defendant would have been there?
Oh, yes. I was always there. It just may not have been the same hour. Like maybe he got there before I did, or maybe I got there before he did. But then like when it was time for me to go to work, because I worked overnight at Northside,
Mm.
then like I would leave and he would close up and he'd like lock the door. And I have like a little mail slot mailbox and he would just drop the key.
Okay. And was there a time in June of 2017 when you would have left the defendant alone while he was conducting any of his private lessons?
Yes.
Can you talk to me about that?
I don't remember particular days, then, but it wasn't uncommon for me to do that because I trusted him. He's been there for years. I never had an issue. So it was often that I left him.
I see. Is there a time that sticks out in your mind when you left him there?
In this situation, the lights went out. I do remember that. And I think that is the only reason I do remember it because there was a car accident or something and somebody hit a pole. So the lights were out in the whole business park. But we still did classes because it was light out. And I have the pull-up doors. And so we just did classes. And then when it got dark, I remember I had a class and I said, hey, do you want to do it? If not, we could leave and we could do it later or whatever. And DJ stayed with whoever was there. And my person, the people, when it was kind of still evening, I did those. But then when it got dark, then they canceled. They was like, nah, we'll do it later. So I left because I personally didn't have any more students.
Okay. And on that day when the power went out, was it a private lesson?
Yes.
Okay. So there would have only been one person he was working with?
I remember he was working with I want to say it was college girls and maybe theirs were over. But usually like when older people are there, if it's over, they just hang out and tumble. I don't care. So then I know he had another one with a girl that had just started. I don't know her. I'd only seen her once.
Okay.
And whether the other people left and it was just him and her, I don't know because I wasn't there.
1 second. Thank you, Ms. Porter.
Any
Pass the
cross-examination?
witness.
Thank you.
Ms. Porter, you've known the defendant for a long time, Mr. Johnson, right?
Yes.
And he worked for you for how long, roughly?
At least 5
5 months, 5 years?
years,
Quite a while.
5 years. Yeah.
And you never had a problem with him?
No, never, not once.
None of the other students ever made allegations like this, as far as you know, right?
I'm going to object at this point because I think we're going into improper character.
Mr. Marks?
I'm not asking about character. I'm asking about whether other people have accused him of doing this. That's not a character thing.
It would only be relevant to
Pardon?
show that he acted in conformity therewith, so I would think that we are. So you can link it up somehow, otherwise I think that would be sustained.
You said he worked for you for about 5 years, correct?
At least.
And during that time frame, he's been a gymnast instructor, overseeing lots of other kids, correct?
Yes.
And you've never had any issues with him, correct?
I've never had any issues. Not one.
And as far as you're concerned, he was a good employee, is that right?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, any redirect?
Just one, Your Honor. Briefly. Ms. Porter, you stated that it's not known to you whether he had any problems while he was employed by you. It's none to your knowledge, correct?
Correct. Nobody ever came to me as an owner or as a coach.
Thank you.
All right, can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Porter, thank you for joining us. You can log off Zoom and exit. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the state will call Officer Jimmy Sewell.
You swear affirm to the testimony you give in court is the truth and nothing but the truth. Yes. Please, please, I swear with grace and lasting.
Jimmy Sewell, that's Jimmie. Sewell, Sewell.
Thank you. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Good, good. Thank you for your patience. Mr. Sewell, I apologize. I was saying Sewell. Mr.
Oh,
Sewell,
that's fine.
where are you currently employed?
Atlanta Public Schools, Police Department.
And how long have you been there?
About 6 or 7 years now.
And in what capacity are you employed with Atlanta Public Schools Police Department?
School resource officer.
Okay. And back in 2017, specifically June of 2017, were you also employed with Atlanta Public Schools Police Department?
In 2017? No, sir.
Where were you employed?
Fulton County Police Department.
Okay. In what capacity?
Patrol officer.
And what were some of your duties and responsibilities?
Protecting the citizens and the basically community of Fulton County, unincorporated Fulton County.
Okay. Is that like South Fulton area now?
City of South Fulton, yes, sir.
Okay. And were you a post-certified law enforcement officer?
Yes.
Okay. And what exactly is post?
Basically a sworn peace officer for the state of Georgia.
Okay. And were you ever called out to any locations around that time, or were you just a patrol officer, or
I was called out to multiple locations during that time.
any type of specific calls, or could it range from anything?
It ranges from anything.
Whenever an officer is called out to a location, is there a report made?
Yes, sir.
And what is that report called?
Basically just a police report.
Um, in June of 2017, did you have reason to go out on a sexual assault call?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall where it was?
The exact location?
Mhm.
I can't recall the exact location.
Your Honor, showing the witness states what's already been admitted by stipulations number 9, which is the detailed CAD report. Officer Sewell, do you know what that is?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's a CAD report.
And what's in a CAD report?
Details of a call, time, location.
Okay. And in your capacity when you worked as a patrol officer, was a CAD report generated back in June of 2017?
Yes, sir.
And are you able to determine what the address was to where you were called out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us what that is?
It's going to be 1290 Martinique Court, Southwest Atlanta.
Martinique Court. Can you spell it?
Martinique.
Okay. Is that a home? Do you recall if that's a home or an apartment?
A home address
Okay. And what were you called out for?
for possible sexual assault charge.
Do you recall who you spoke with?
Yes.
Who'd you speak with?
The exact names I can't recall, but it was a mother and daughter.
Okay. And what was the issue that the mother and daughter had?
Basically, the young lady stated that she was assaulted by an adult male.
Do you recall what the relationship the victim had with the adult male?
Dance instructor.
And did you take a report while you were there?
I did.
Did you go with any other officers, or were you the only officer?
Just me by myself.
And you spoke with the victim. Did she provide a name?
For the
Dance instructor?
I believe it was, I want to say maybe something with a D.
Okay. 1 second. Do you recall what she said about the individual, what they did?
Yes.
Can you explain?
She mentioned that the two had inappropriate conversations. I believe it was via Snapchat at the time. She stated that they gave each other, I believe it was oral sex.
When she explained that they gave each other oral sex, what did she state that meant?
Basically, he performed oral on her and she did the same for him.
Did she clarify specifically what that meant when she explained it?
Yes.
When you're saying oral sex, does that mean that on her, that he placed his lips on her vagina?
Correct.
And when she performed oral sex on him, that she placed her lips on his penis?
Correct.
Okay. Did she state where this took place?
At their dance facility.
Do you know if that was in Fulton County as well?
It was Fulton County.
Okay. Do you recall the demeanor of the victim? You were there?
From what I could tell, she seemed a little uncomfortable telling me the events about what happened.
Okay. Do you recall the demeanor of her mother?
I could.
Relevance.
Your Honor, it's a He's present and reviewing the demeanor of the victim and her mother, who are making the outcry to the law enforcement witness.
The objection of relevance goes to the mother.
All right, well, the impact and the interplay between the mother and the daughter, I think, are issues that are at issue. So I'll overrule it. Answer the question if you remember it.
The mother seemed she was upset at the time.
Do you recall whether or not the victim stated it happened once or more than once?
It's the sexual acts.
Yes.
I believe she stated it happened once.
Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness. Oh,
Did you ever know a sexual assault case recall before?
had you ever been out on a sexual assault call before, prior to this?
Prior to this one,
Yes.
not that I could recall.
I'm sorry.
I can't recall.
Okay. Do you recall if you referred the victim to receive a sexual assault kit?
At the time, I don't believe I did.
Why or why not? Or why not?
I believe at the time, I thought that was up to my superiors.
Okay. Thank you so much. Pass
Sir.
the witness.
Any cross-examination?
No questions, Judge.
Thank you.
Can Officer Sewell be excused?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, Officer.
Thanks, sir.
Statement call, next witness.
State Paul, Investigator Jamie Gore. Thank you so much.
While we're waiting for that witness to come in, Ms. McCauley, if I could just ask you before these proceedings are over, we're going to need 2 copies of any of these audio or video exhibits for our court reporter.
Yes, the court reporter's already informed me she would like them on a USB along with
Great.
any video. I plan to provide her the digital copies, even of the paper exhibits, just so the record is complete. Because that's generally what I do. May I have just for a moment to speak with defense counsel?
Feel free to have a seat, man.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Just trying to.
All right, if we could swear in the witness.
You just want to affirm that it's going to be.
I do.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the court.
I am Detective Jamie Gore, JAMIEGORE.
Hey, good afternoon, Detective Gore. How are you currently employed?
I am currently employed by the Alpharetta Department of Public Safety as a detective.
And prior to being employed at the Alpharetta Department of Public Safety, were you employed at some point by the Fulton County Police Department?
I was.
And do you recall what years you were employed by the Fulton County Police Department?
From 2014 until 2021.
And in 2017, were you employed by the Fulton County Police Department?
I was.
And in what capacity?
I was a detective.
And what were some of your duties and responsibilities as a detective with the Fulton County Police Department?
I handled all types of crimes. I responded to call outs. I was assigned cases. Once a patrol had taken a report, I specifically at that point had started focusing on only working sexual assault cases, human trafficking, and child fatalities.
So referring to June of 2017, were you assigned a case that brings you into court here today?
I was.
And who was the victim in that case?
Michaela Ward.
And when were you assigned that case?
I was assigned that case on June the 13th of 2017.
And tell me a little bit about, at the time, how assignments worked when you were a detective.
So patrol would take the initial report. It would go through a approval process. Once it went through the approval process, then a supervisor who was over the detective unit would then assign the cases out to the different detectives.
And what type of case was Michaela's case?
Her case initially was reported as a sodomy, but it's a child molestation, sexual battery case.
And what was the first thing you did when you were assigned the case?
The first thing that I did briefly speak with Michaela's mom. She came to pick up the police report. Step after I learned a little bit more pertinent information to the case about the Snapchat and Instagram was to send preservation letters to both Snapchat and Instagram.
Were you familiar in 2017 about Snapchat and its operations?
I was.
And were they responsive to those types of inquiries?
They were not.
So would it be easy to get records from Snapchat?
It was not.
What else did you do after you sent the preservation request?
I then scheduled to have a forensic interview completed with Michaela because she was a juvenile.
And why would you have referred her for a forensic interview?
Because juveniles are children, need to be interviewed by someone who has a special certification to handle those types of interviews. The questioning is different. The location is different. It's done in a very safe and secure area for the child. And I do not have that certification, so I needed to schedule it with someone else.
And where did you schedule that interview at?
The Georgia Center for Child Advocacy.
And is that the Child Advocacy Center that's in Fulton County?
It is.
And did you attend that forensic interview? Now, when you attended the forensic interview, did you participate or did you observe? Tell me about that.
So when officers or detectives attend forensic interviews, the interview is in a room that is secluded from us. We monitor the interview in a different room on a TV screen or a computer screen.
And do you recall when the interview was?
I believe it was the 29th of June, if I recall correctly.
And after attending the interview, what next steps did you take?
After I attended the interview, I then obtained arrest warrants.
Did you do any other steps in your investigation?
Oh, I also, during my investigation, I did go by the location to try to make contact. Unfortunately, I left my card and I didn't hear back. I would drive by, but there were no cars there, so I just wouldn't stop. I never heard back from anyone, though.
I'm going to show you what's been marked and shown to Defense Counsel as States Exhibit 10 and 11. Let me know if you recognize them.
Thanks. I do. They look like the buildings. It's been quite a while since I've been down there, but it does look like the buildings on Wendell Drive.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of the location that you went to during your investigation?
Yes.
Does it appear to be altered, changed, or deleted in any way based on your memory?
Not, it may be a little bit cleaner now, but not that I remember other than that.
And States Exhibit 10, is that the front part of the building or the back part of the building?
That would be the front.
What about States Exhibit 11?
That is the back where like you would load up trucks and stuff.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit States 10 and 11 into evidence
No objection.
Admitted without objection.
and permission to publish.
Okay.
So investigator or Detective Boyd, you said that you went to the location. Do you know the exact address of that location?
It was 800 Wendell Court.
Is that located in Fulton County?
It is.
Following going to the actual location and trying to make contact with anyone, did you do anything else?
Wait for the Snapchat. So with the Snapchat, I was waiting because that's where all the information is held and it's stored. With Snapchat, it's not stored on a phone because as soon as you close a phone, it would go away. So I was waiting for my information back from Snapchat. So after that, I obtained warrants based off of her testimony to me.
And when you say her testimony to you, are you referring to a conversation that you had directly with McAfee's?
With the forensic.
Did you compile a photo lineup or anything for Michaela to look at?
I did complete a photo lineup. I believe Detective Webb is the one who actually completed the photo lineup, even though I think I had scheduled for Alexander, but something had came up and he was not available.
So I'm going to show you what's been marked and shown to defense counsel as states exhibits 17, or I'm sorry, 12 through 18. You just take a look at those and let me know when you're finished.
I'm done.
And Detective Gore, what is states exhibits 12 through 18?
That is my, we call it a 6-pack. That is my photo lineup.
And is that the photo lineup that you believe Detective Webb showed to Michaela?
Yes, that is my handwriting and the numbers up under the photo.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to admit states exhibits 12 through 18 into evidence.
No objection.
Admitted without objection.
Now, Detective Gore, in 2017, how familiar were you with handling sexual abuse cases or child molestations or sexual assaults?
I was just beginning my, I don't want to say career, but I was just beginning to learn how to effectively handle them, the protocols that were needed when they would end up down eventually at the district attorney's office, and how things needed to be handled at the time. Unfortunately, I had to go get more training. I had to ask for training. It wasn't something that was readily available to me at the department. So it was it was a learn as you go. And then I started going to training and I learned more and more about how to handle these types of cases.
In handling this case, did you refer Michaela for a forensic medical exam or a sexual assault nurse examination?
I did not.
And you came into contact with the case on July 3rd or June 13th?
Yes.
Is that your understanding? Did you identify a date when this incident would have occurred?
On the report, it was reported that the incident occurred on the 7th, but wasn't reported until June the 10th. And then I did not get the case until June the 13th.
And that June the 13th would have been almost a week after the incident itself?
Yes.
Based on your experience at the time, would it have been probative for your investigation to refer her for a sexual assault nurse examination or a forensic medical examination?
It would not have been. There was too much time that had passed since the initial incident.
Did you obtain Michaela Ward's phone at any point?
I did take it, I believe, from her mother. But unfortunately, again, that was still where we were doing the learning curve, like with Snapchat and everything. And then it was of no evidentiary purpose because none of the information is held on the phone once you close out the app. I had to get it from the app.
So when we're talking about the app, are we talking about Snapchat?
We are talking about Snapchat.
And based on Michaela's forensic interview, did you learn of any other communication method that she utilized with the defendant?
No.
So the evidence would have had to have come from Snapchat.
Yes.
Okay. Did you obtain the defense?
I did not.
Why not?
Also Snapchat. It would have, it's the same thing for his phone as it would be for her phone when it comes to Snapchat and any information held within the Snapchat app.
And beyond your initial review of the file, the scheduling of the forensic interview, going to the forensic interview, attempting to preserve the Snapchat records, going to the location and attempting to find contact there, as well as possibly looking through Michaela's phone for evidentiary value. Did you take any other investigative steps in this case?
I do not believe so, unless I'm forgetting. I mean, it's been a while, but I do not believe so.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time, the state is going to move to publish two phone calls that have been agreed upon by both state and defense counsel as as stipulated to for their authenticity and foundational value.
All right, what is the exhibit number for these?
It's going to be exhibit number 22 and exhibit number 23. And if I could just have defense counsel put on the record that he did stipulate to the authenticity and foundation purposes for these specific exhibits.
We still have, Your Honor.
No, these are indicated jail calls on your notes. Is that not accurate?
Yes, they
They
are.
are jail calls.
They are jail calls.
22 and 23 are admitted for the record by stipulation and without objection.
Prior to that, Detective Gore, I don't know, are you familiar with the date that the defendant was arrested?
I am not, I don't recall that date. I'm sorry.
Was it close in time to when you obtained the arrest warrants, or was it later?
If you have a copy of our report, it should be there.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
It would have been the day. Yeah, because it said cleared by, it's on there. I just don't know the date.
Would October of 2017 be fair?
Should be fair, yes. Because I went to prelim in November, so that should be fair. October.
So for the record, the state is playing the first jail call, which is marked October 20th, 2017, to phone number 770-356-9636.
This is a free call from an inmate at Fulton County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring, and your location information may be collected and used by corrections and law enforcement personnel. To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now. Hey, Jen.
I talked to my friend and everything, and they told me who it was and everything.
Right, I was gonna say, we don't know who that is. You know who that is?
Yeah, I know who it is. We know that's the Alina and them friend, the little young girl they had brought, the little third girl.
Uh-huh,
You remember that last day that we came to the gym when the power was out?
uh-huh.
Yeah, her.
How you figure that out? I didn't know who that was.
That was literally the last girl who I had private with.
But that was on a Saturday?
And I don't want to talk too much. And I can talk too much.
Right. Okay, so what you gonna do? Cause your mom don't have money for an attorney.
I have to use what they give me.
So you're gonna have to stay.
They said I have to pay for it. They give me one.
I know what I'm saying, but that you're gonna have to stay in jail?
I don't know. We have to see it when I go to court on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, that's why I don't know if you talked to my mom, but I definitely need you to come because you was there living on that day before you had left. And it's your gym and stuff like that, so my attorney.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'll see if I can come. I have a hernia, so I'm gonna have to have surgery, and I gotta go to the doctor on Tuesday. That's the earliest they could take me. And this hernia is killing me. Like, I got a hernia last week, so I can come, but they're gonna have to do you early, because I can't be there forever.
That's fine. Even if you just come and probably talk to my attorney or whoever's representing me.
Okay.
But it's like you're my biggest defense because it's your gym and stuff and you were there.
Did you talk to the girl, Alina, or whatever her name is?
No, she wasn't even there, so I don't even want to involve her in there and stuff like that.
But I don't know if you talk to them or whatever, I don't know.
No,
Okay.
but, I just definitely need you there because my attorney even asked, would you speak on my behalf? I'm like, yeah, like, you've been there since day one, so.
All right.
So I hope that.
So it's at 9:30, I think, right? So I'll be there.
Okay.
All right, let me let you go. I know you say you don't have much time.
All right, I'll see you Tuesday, man.
All right. You too.
All right.
And for the record, the next call the state's going to play is from October 20th, 2017. It is at 10:15 to number 678-933-2992.
This is a free call from an inmate at Fulton County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring, and your location information may be collected and used by corrections and law enforcement personnel. To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this free call, press 2. If you thank you for using Securus, you may start the conversation now. Hello? Hey.
I talked to my attorney, she let me know everything, and I have 2 charges.
Yeah, I know.
They tell me that, so. Told her that I talked to him and who the girl was, stuff like that, and refreshing her mind with the day it was, cause that was my last day. That was my last private lesson, and stuff like that. Like I said, I talked to, not my attorney, but the attorney of dude representing me, she came in for him. I'm about to call him after this.
Okay.
A little bit if he sits on the phone. But now it's really just he say she say thing in court. Like I don't know what the fuck this little girl got going on against me. What the fuck probably said something negative to her, but or something that pissed her off. I don't know, but I don't appreciate her trying to take me away from my family and shit.
All right. So what did Nikki say?
Like she gonna come, but she gotta go to she got a hernia and she gotta get surgery.
Oh.
So I asked her, can she at least stop by, at least talk to my attorney? Because like I need her there. I understand she hurt, but like if she just don't show up, then it's kind of like bad on my behalf.
Yeah, but she got a reason why she won't show up if she don't. Cause
okay, she'll stay. She just stop by and just ask to talk to my attorney a little bit before she left. And just explain to him like why you won't be in the court, and she can just tell her behalf and then go. I really prefer to show her face and say something and not say nothing at all.
okay.
But, I got 3 more days. I'm just praying to hope that I don't know, they don't hit me with some shit and it's just unexplainable. Like I don't even fucking talk about it. I spoke to the lady and told her my little piece on it.
So what she said?
Anything happened, I was like, no. She's like, did you say anything or do anything? I was like, no. I was like, I don't even really know the girl. Like, I didn't even know her last name until y'all told me. Like I said, I only seen her 3 or 4 times. And I only get in contact with people through Nikki. So if you don't call Nikki or some shit like that, I don't know you. Or if somebody brings you in through the gym, through them, like, that's the only way I would have to go through them to get to that person and see if they come. But if a person don't show up, I don't care. Like, they just don't show up. I go home. Like, I don't be caring if somebody comes to private something with classes. Like, it's only like what, $35, $40 a month. I ain't gonna, I'll spend that on lunch still.
Right.
I don't know. But I definitely said I'm done with this shit because I've been doing this for too long, and for one person to just jeopardize something I've been building for years, like I would really hate to give it up from all the girls I had helped. Go to college and
Right.
but I can't sacrifice my freedom for some tragedy.
I understand.
And over some petty, whatever the fuck she mad about, I don't know.
Well, we're gonna, pray that all is well on Tuesday, that, I don't know what else you might say, but all is well on Tuesday, and we gonna just pray about it.
And I asked if my mom could probably, do her to sign me out in bond since she's been at her job for like 2 years, and then that might be able to get me out, and then I can just take the money after that, so.
You have 1 minute left.
I just go, hopefully if I get on bond, my mom can sign me out. I can go get a job at the airport, and then that pays every week. I can just pay off my bonds myself.
Okay, but the thing is that stuff's on your background. They're not gonna let you get the job at the airport, are they?
Well, yeah, they say once I get it cleared, like I'll be able to get my.
Okay.
Even though I'm pretty sure I can go back to the winery once I explain to them what the deal was, why I didn't come back.
Right. Absolutely.
I just have to work my ass off. I wish I had that problem. But I guess just call my mom, let her know, There's really nothing else we can do. I just have to see y'all Tuesday. And then when she told me the name, my mom told me she looked at my phone and I have no type of contact with that girl whatsoever. And that my mom did that on her own. Like her, my sister, she said,
Yeah, I know, I talked to him. You're fine.
At this time, Your Honor, the state passes the witness.
Officer, the incident date is June 7th, 2017, is that correct?
The day that she said the incident happened, yes.
June 2017. And the responding officer was Jimmy Sewell, Sewell, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And he responded on June 10th, just a few days later, correct?
That's when they called to report the incident, yes.
Okay. And is it protocol when somebody is saying that they're a victim of sexual assault to have them sent to the emergency room to have a sexual assault kit done?
I was not contacted on June. I cannot speak as to what their supervision told them to do. I was not called out on June the 10th. I wasn't notified. I didn't get the report until June the 13th.
Did you work for the same department as Officer Sewell? The,
Yes,
Fulton
I
County
was-
Police Department?
I was a detective, but no one was called out on June the 10th. So I don't know what went into their decision making on June the 10th. I didn't have anything to do with that. And by June the 13th, no, it's not protocol when you have an event that happened on June the 7th and then you are not reported until June the 10th and we're at June the 13th. It is not protocol. There is almost a week lapse there for a sexual assault to be a kit to be collected. So no, it is not the protocol when there is that much time
Okay.
between the initial incident and the time that it, not necessarily that is reported, now could have, I don't, like I said, again, I can't speak for what patrol did that day. I was not on patrol. I was the detective on the 13th who was assigned the case. And by the 13th, no, that would not have been the protocol.
How about the 10th? Would it have been the protocol on the 10th?
Again, I can't speak for that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I cannot speak for them. I
So-
can only speak for what I did on the 13th.
So are there different protocols depending on divisions, or is there like a singular protocol for your department when it comes to this sort of thing?
I no longer work for that department. And at the time, there are some people who understand or know that there's a protocol or that there is a sexual assault. There was nothing that, I can't say that that supervisor knew what the protocol, I'm not his supervisor who would have told him what to do. Let me just say that. I can't say that that supervisor would have known. I'm not that person.
What is the protocol?
I mean, the protocol, if they would have called me, we could have talked about it. But still, again, if she has taken a shot, if oral sex was performed, correct? And you have taken a shower or a bath or anything, the chances that I'm going to get any DNA if there was no seminal fluid in her vagina, and then there would be no point for a sexual assault kit. Do you understand what I'm saying? There would be no evidence because there's time, there's showers, there's all of these things that happen. Have only been saliva and maybe his DNA in her mouth. But I'm sure by the 10th, she's ate, drank, and brushed her teeth. And that will then take away any kind of DNA evidence.
So is this the kind of thing where there really is no protocol set in policy? It's just kind of an officer's discretion about what
At this
they're-
point, I cannot speak for what Fulton County's protocol is. There
What
have
about-
been leaps and bounds and changes within understanding what should happen when a sexual assault occurs. And I would say that a lot of that has even started as early as 2017 and after, because our understanding of when things need to be collected, how fast they need to be collected, those kind of things have changed. Like the understanding of how long DNA lasts has changed. So I do not recall what our protocol was at that time,
Okay.
because
do you know whether there actually was a protocol in 2017, or do you not even know that?
I do not know if there, I do not recall. I know what I was trained to do, like what I would have done, but I also am not the supervisor of, and if I'm in all honesty, I'm pretty sure Officer Sewell was very close to being a rookie at that time. So his understanding of protocols may have been different, and he may have relied on a supervisor or someone else.
Well, if it were you and you were the responding officer and the alleged incident date was June the 7th and you arrive on the scene June 10th, would you have taken an alleged victim for a sexual assault kit based on what you know as far as how you handle these cases?
Objection calls for speculation.
Well, that's not speculation.
Well, yeah, okay, Mr. Marks, direct to me.
I'm not speculating. I'm just asking if this officer were a responding officer in a case where someone is alleged that they were sexually assaulted and the time differential is 7, 8, 9, 3 days, is your protocol that you would send that person to have a sexual assault case? It's yes or no.
Well, I think the protocol issue has been explored, but if you're asking her personal opinion as an investigator based on her experience, I'll overrule the objection to that extent.
Would you or would you
Based
not?
on my personal opinion, since it was only oral sex and there was nothing in the vagina to be collected, if I have asked my victim, have you ate? Have you drank? Have you brushed your teeth? Have you taken a shower? Have you did all of these things? Then no, I would not send her.
So I guess, so then, correct me, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So in other words, it kind of depends on the circumstances. Is that fair to say?
So, I mean, there's a very big difference between a sexual assault where sexual intercourse has happened and ejaculation has happened inside of someone's vagina, opposed to oral sex where ejaculation has occurred and it has occurred in someone's mouth. That person isn't going to go for 3 days without drinking and brushing their teeth and doing things, right? And at that point, the DNA is going to be gone. So what would be the purpose of sending her for a sexual assault kit when there's no chances that put her through that trauma, when there's no chances that there was not sexual intercourse? So what would I be actually asking them to retrieve?
So in your opinion, as an officer, in this case, not speculation, not other cases, in this case, the time differential between 2 to 3 days, it wouldn't make sense for an officer to even have the victim go to the emergency room for a sexual assault kit. Is that your opinion?
Objection asked and answered. This is now like the third or fourth time we've asked this question.
All right, but I think we're kind of keep running in circles around each other. So Mr. Marks, just hone in, see if you can get an answer out of it, and let's move on.
Well, that's my question.
All right.
You understand my question?
Can you repeat your question?
Sure. In your professional opinion, would you have taken the victim in this case to have a sexual assault kit if you were arriving on the scene on June the 10th and the incident had happened on June the 7th, in your opinion, as a professional, as an officer?
I would not put her through that trauma.
Were you the investigator in this case?
I was assigned it on the 13th.
So you were the lead detective,
Yes.
is that correct? And did you go to the gym to see if you could find some students and interview them to see if?
I went to
anything
the
about case?
gym. I left a business card. No one contacted me. I drove back by a few times. I believe I even asked patrol to go by. We never called anyone at the gym, and no one ever called me back.
And to your knowledge, were there any surveillance video cameras or anything like that in the area operational?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Did you look to see whether
I mean,
they were there?
I looked when I went, not inside the gym, of course, because no one was there. And I know that there's not any operational cameras in that parking lot. So,
And you indicated you went there and you left a business card, correct?
yes,
And nobody called you back,
No.
correct? Did you go back and make other repeated attempts to access the gym, to look inside the gym to see whether maybe there were some cameras or anything like that?
there was no card. No one was there to get access to the gym. I'm not because of the situation, I can't just, if the door is even open, but there's no one there, I can't just, I'm not just entering the building without a search warrant.
You believe you had probable cause to make an arrest in this case, correct?
Yes, I did. But like the door, no one was there. So if I'd have went and pulled on the door and the door would have been opened, I don't even know that because, let me say this. I do not know that I would have obtained the search warrant because of the delay in time. to go in and to get to go inside the building, to make forced entry inside of the building.
So is it your position that there was really no way you could legally gain access to the building to see whether there are cameras around or anything like that? Is that your position
The power was out that day
based on?
based on my victim, and we just heard based on my victim, the power was out that day. There was no power in the gym.
So is it your position that there's no point to see if there are any cameras there since the power was out? Is that your position? Is
If
that your
there's
thought?
no power, there's no cameras recording.
Do you know whether the power was out the entire time?
I was not there.
Did you take any steps to verify from some independent source whether the power was out that day?
I did not.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Your Honor. So Detective Gore, going by the location, you were never, is it your testimony that you weren't able to make contact with anyone?
Yes.
And you actually physically went to the location?
Yes.
Did you observe any cameras outside the location?
I did not.
Did Michaela indicate in her forensic interview whether there were any cameras?
She did not.
And you did ultimately obtain an arrest warrant? In this?
Yes, I did.
And was that based on the statement of the victim in the forensic interview?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Any recross on those points?
There you are. Thank you.
This witness be excused, Mr. McCauley?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Elena Moore. Thank you, Jamie.
Yes.
Yes. Alina Moore, ALENA Moore.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moore. How old are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
I'm 27.
And are you employed? Do you go to school? Tell me about your life.
Yes, I'm employed at Coca-Cola, the company. I graduated from Georgia State University, where I cheered as well. I have a dog.
You said that you graduated from Georgia State University where you cheered.
Yes.
Do you know someone by the name of Michaela Ward?
Yes.
How do you know Michaela Ward?
I know Michaela Ward through Morgan Ward.
And what is your relationship to Morgan Ward?
She is my friend.
And when you say that Morgan Ward's your friend, when did you become friends?
We became friends in high school, I want to say freshman year.
And how did you become friends? Was it in class? Was it playing sports?
Yes, we cheered together.
And then you said you went to Georgia State where you also cheered.
Yes.
Okay. And when did you attend Georgia State?
I attended Georgia State 2016 through 2020.
And what years did you cheer at Georgia State?
2017 and 2018.
So sophomore and junior year of college? And what type of skills did you need for college cheer, going into your sophomore year?
I needed a tuck, a back handspring, and I wanted to have a full.
What is a full?
A full is a backwards inverted spin.
Is it sometimes called like a full layout?
A layout is something different, but it's similar.
Okay. And so in order to get that skill, what did you do?
I went to a gym. I want to say Nicole was running the gym. I met her and she introduced me to DJ because DJ was the only person that could teach me that skill at the time.
And do you see DJ here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you describe where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is on the left side of the courtroom. He is wearing a white shirt with a button down.
And is there anything specific about that white shirt?
No.
Can you describe if it has a specific or if he has on a specific pattern or anything like that?
Yes, he has a shirt over the white shirt. It's blue, has colors of blue in it.
Thank you. Your Honor, if the record could reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
All right. So you said you actually were introduced to him by someone by the name of Nicole. Who did you understand Nicole to be?
Nicole was the gym owner.
Was she someone that was helping you with your skills?
No.
And how did you connect with DJ? Did you call him on the phone? Did you text him? Tell me about that.
We used communication through, I want to say, text messages and also sometimes Instagram.
Were there any other methods of communication that you used with him?
We did use Snapchat as well because we were in a group chat after others had joined my sessions.
So when you went for these sessions, when would they be?
They would be in the afternoon. I want to say 2 times a week.
And when you say the afternoon, what time are we talking about?
Around 6 o'clock.
And how long would these sessions be?
An hour.
And were they individual or were they with other students?
They were with other students. They were with Margaret Hall, Minka Dutch, and Michaela Ward.
How did Michaela end up going to these sessions?
I invited Michaela because she also had tryouts for her high school team.
And how would Michaela get to these classes?
Her mother would take her, and I believe I did pick her up a few times for these practices.
Would you bring the other people with you as well, Margaret and Minka?
Yes, but they drove separately.
Would you ever provide transportation for anyone else?
Yes, I did provide transportation for DJ, leaving the gym a few times.
Now, how was Michaela in the gym?
What do you mean?
How was she in the tumbling classes?
She did pretty well. She was doing good.
And what was like the format of the tumbling class? Was it structured, not structured?
It was structured. Myself, Minka, and Margaret, we were more on a collegiate level, and Michaela was kind of on more so of a high school level. So he kind of broke up the classes like that. Michaela would be in one lane doing tumbling, and others we would be in the other lanes tumbling.
Okay. And did you observe anything unusual between the defendant and Michaela?
No.
Did you ever have any private sessions with the defendant?
No.
And how would you pay for these sessions?
I do not 100% remember, but I do feel like it's probably through Cash App and it was sent through DJ.
So you didn't pay the owner of the gym?
Right.
And was it like you paid for a certain number of sessions or something else?
I think it was just paying per session.
Kind of like a pay as you go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when you would be at these tumbling sessions, would you be talking about just tumbling and cheerleading when you were there?
Not always.
What other things did you talk about?
Relationships. I was in a relationship at the time.
Did you share that with the defendant?
Yes.
Did he ever comment on your relationship?
Yes.
Were the comments appropriate coming from a tumbling coach?
Objection relevance.
No.
Mr. McCollum, why don't we get into that a little bit? I mean, maybe
Well,
not
Judge,
relevance
since we're going
objection.
down this route,
Yeah.
defense counsel very clearly opened the door
with Ms. Porter, with his line of questioning, about whether Ms. Porter had ever received any complaints about the defendant, whether he was fine in the gym, his reputation with the other students, and whether or not she was aware of any other instances with students that attended the gym. One, Ms. Moore is present while Michaela Ward is attending these classes, so her testimony is relevant for that purpose. As to any specific instances of conduct, now the defense counsel has opened the door, the state would argue that this line of questioning and testimony is relevant under 404 subsection B, and because it follows the defense eliciting that testimony, notice is not required as long as it is offered for one of the purposes set forth in 404.
All right, Mr. Marks, any response about whether this specific act of conduct should or should not be coming in under 404A?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can proceed, Ms. McCauley.
So Elena, were those conversations appropriate for a tumbling coach in your experience?
No.
Did those conversations continue when you would be going back and forth, or leaving the gym with the defendant in the vehicle?
Yes.
Was Michaela present for those conversations?
No.
Would she be in the car with the defendant when you would drive him home?
No.
About how many times did you drive him home?
A lot.
And Michaela came with you to the gym?
Sometimes, yeah.
Are you sure that there was never an occasion where Michaela was in the car with you and the defendant?
I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that she wasn't.
Now, did you ever have a private session with the defendant?
No.
Was there ever a time when you were in the gym with him, and he made a pass at you?
Yes.
What were some of those instances?
I remember when we were specifically working on my skill, the full, there were some times that I did fall on him, and I could see that after I would, get up, that he was a wreck, and he would make a joke about it, and it just wasn't appropriate.
Did he make comments about the relationship that you were in?
Yes.
What did he say about that?
He said that I should lower my standards.
Did he contact you outside of the gym?
Yes.
When did he contact you outside, or how did he contact you outside the gym?
I think it was definitely through social media.
And did you respond?
Sometimes, yes.
Now, did you know about Michaela scheduling a private session with the defendant?
No.
When were you made aware of Michaela's disclosure in this case?
2 years ago, I was informed by you.
And was that out of a conversation that I had with you?
Yes, that's how I found out.
Prior to that, were you still communicating with the defendant?
No.
Had he sent you any messages prior to that?
He did, but I had blocked him, so.
And do you recall any of those messages?
No.
Do you recall him messaging you about a situation that he was in?
I do remember seeing a message on Instagram before I blocked him. It was a post and some messages that he had sent me. He was looking for people to speak on his behalf on something, but I didn't know exactly what it was because I had already blocked him, so it only would show part of the message.
All right, Your Honor, pass the witness.
So Mr. Johnson made a pass at you at the gym, is that right?
Mhm.
And at that time, how old were you?
I was 21 or 22.
No further question.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. The witness may be excused and she
Thank you,
is
ma'am.
released from her subpoena.
All right, unless anyone needs a break, state may call us next witness. I don't see any takers.
How long will there? Witness?
She might be kind of long.
Well, just give it, thanks.
All right.
After the break, Your Honor, the state will call Dr. Wallace.
pretty fair.
Thank you.
Do you need to step out at all? Okay. Right there. Yes, ma'am. We waiting on Ms. McCauley, or do you want to proceed without her?
We could proceed, Your Honor.
All right, everyone is present. Why don't we swear in our next witness?
Well, affirm the testimony you should give a court is the truth and nothing but the truth to help you.
Yes.
You may go on your head. Would you please state and spell your first and last name for the court?
Tryphinia Wallace. Triphinia. Wallace, Wallace.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wallace. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good, thank you.
Dr. Wallace, where are you currently employed?
I am the clinical director at Valdosta State Prison.
You say at Valdosta State Prison.
Mhm.
And how long have you been employed there?
December of
December of
2023 to current.
Okay. And what are some of your current duties and responsibilities?
Current duties include conducting psychological evaluations with inmates, conducting psychotherapy, supervising unlicensed mental health professionals, in-service trainings.
And what type of education do you have?
I have a master's degree in counseling from the University of Mississippi and a clinical psychology doctorate from Fielding Graduate University.
Okay.
Little audio.
If you could just make sure, ma'am, that you lean into the microphone a little bit. We do have a little bit of an
Okay.
audio disturbance in here.
And in 2017, what was your role?
I own a private practice called Sage Psychological Consulting, and I conducted evaluations, counseling.
Okay, Sage, SAGE.
SAGE, Psychological Consulting.
Okay. And what type of roughly how many clients did you have around that time?
That varied. Every week, I perhaps saw 20 to 30 clients.
Okay. Was Michaela Ward a client of yours in 2017 regarding a sexual assault?
Sexual assault came up, yes.
Was there a specific approach or type of practice that you utilized in working with Michaela concerning the sexual assault?
Primarily CBT. CBT is cognitive behavior therapy.
Cognitive behavioral
Mhm.
therapy?
And it is perhaps the most widely used and reimbursed by insurance companies.
Okay. And I guess, can you explain what it is?
Cognitive behavior therapy is an approach that focuses on teaching a client how to manage their thoughts so that they can in turn manage their emotions and in turn manage their behaviors. So the point is to identify if there are any negative cognitive patterns of thinking, if there are any negative schemas that are impacting a person's behaviors and their emotions. And so we teach skills to be able to rectify those.
Okay. And that answered the next question. How would you use it to treat any of your patients? You're saying that you teach them skills in order to overcome any issues that they may have. Okay.
Yes.
Do you recall back in 2017 how old Michaela Ward was when she came to you disclosing any sexual assault?
I want to say 15-ish. I don't remember particularly how old she was, but about 15.
Okay. In your working with Michaela Ward, did it become known to you whether or not she had any specific interests or hobbies or sports that she was involved in?
She was enjoying cheer and tumbling.
And do you know if that was in school or outside of school?
I don't recall specifically. I think it might have been outside of school. I don't remember if it was inside or outside of school.
And where would you provide services to Michaela? Was it, this is pre-pandemic, so was it online or was it in person?
In person.
Okay.
In Atlanta.
And would there be anybody else present with you during your sessions with Michaela?
Sometimes I met with her and her mom, and I think we had at least one session with her dad present.
Okay. And roughly what might have been the length of your sessions with Michaela?
On average, an hour, 50 to 60 minutes per session.
Did Michaela disclose to you any of the circumstances surrounding a sexual assault that she'd experienced?
Yes.
Can you talk to me about that?
She shared that one day her tumbling coach asked her to come earlier than everybody else. And that, according in her words, we became intimate. And initially he tried to perform oral sex on her. And I think at some point she says she pushed him off. And then he asked her to perform on him.
Okay. In your sessions with Michaela, do you, or in your practice generally, do you keep notes?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that?
To document services.
And did you do that regularly with Michaela?
Yes.
In her disclosure to you of sexual assault, did you document that in your notes?
Yes.
Your Honor, showing the witness what has been previously shown to the defense counsel and marked as State's Exhibit 19. Can you take a look at that and?
If we're just authenticating these, why don't we authenticate them all as a batch if we're doing 19 through 21?
Yes. I think they're all in green.
Mhm.
Yes, 19, 20, and 21. Can you take a look at 19, 20, and 21? Take your time. And can you tell me what those are?
Those are case notes
Case notes from where?
from my sessions with Michaela.
Okay. And have there been any, are there true and accurate representation of the notes that you took down when you were working with Michaela?
Yes,
Have there been any substantial additions, changes, or deletions?
none,
Thank you.
not that I can see.
Your Honor, at this time, the state will move to admit state's exhibits 19, 20, and 21.
I'm objecting on the grounds that it's cumulative evidence. This is a professional witness. She's a doctor. She's testifying about the treatment that she provided the complainant, which is also encapsulated in this report. So it's duplicative and it's cumulative. But I wouldn't say it's hearsay or anything like that.
All right, well, on those grounds, I'll note that I think, unlike another late witness, I think this witness is going to be able to bring something different to the table, as well as just conveying that there was a disclosure to her. So I'll overrule the objection. States 19 through 21 are admitted over objection.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Wallace, as we were just discussing, did Michaela discuss with you about, do you recall what her demeanor was while disclosing to you?
Confused, anxious, sad. She was, I'm going to say, beating herself up, as in self-blaming.
Say it again, I'm so sorry.
Self-blaming. She was
Self-blaming.
blaming herself.
Mhm. Did she state where the sexual assault took place?
I know it was at practice, prior to practice, but I don't recall specifically where.
Okay. Would it help you to refresh your memory if you looked at your case notes?
Yes.
Venue's been established multiple times.
All right. At this point, if it's just corroborating some of the larger details, I'll overrule it.
Yes.
Yes.
I
was asking, did you, well, in your work with Michaela, did she disclose to you whether or not that she spoke to anyone else about what had occurred to her?
She had spoken to her mother and her sister, and a report had been made. And I think her friend, Logan.
Okay. Do you know whether or not she had disclosed to her brother or her father?
No, she was very resistant to doing that because she was afraid of their reaction if they found out. So she was afraid that they might maybe do something, or in addition, she was afraid that they might look at her in a certain way.
In your work, do you often come across individuals who've suffered sexual assault?
Yes.
And is that common? Is
Yes.
Michaela's reaction common?
Yes. Especially with kids, I said,
So-
especially with kids,
Mhm.
they tend to assume responsibility for whatever happened. And many people go on throughout their adult lives and they keep quiet about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this something that Michaela wanted to share with a lot of people?
No, she was, like I said, very resistant, feeling ashamed, feeling guilty, feeling she didn't want her coach to get into trouble. So she said that a lot.
Okay.
That was one of the other factors that kept her from wanting to share it. But she also felt guilty. She didn't want to feel like she was lying to her mother. So that's why she disclosed.
In the disclosure, was her mother present at that session?
I can't recall if her mother was present, but in that particular session, but her mother was present in many sessions.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say she was, but
Thanks so much. Pass the
Yes.
witness.
I have no questions.
All right, can Dr. Wallace be excused?
thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace.
You're welcome.
Excuse for her subpoena.
All right, Stan may call us next witness.
So Your Honor, our next two witnesses are not here until tomorrow morning.
All right, so let's just identify them. That's going to be,
Dr. Tricia Sheridan,
okay, Dr.
And-
Sheridan again. All right, and what was the other one?
Monet Patrick.
Monet Patrick. And were those going to be the final two witnesses the state plan to present?
Yes.
All right. And just for logistical purposes, Mr. Marks, I didn't see a defense witness list on the docket. So other than potentially Mr. Johnson, were there any other defense evidence exhibits or witnesses?
No, Your Honor, and just, I would not be opposed to, because the state's going to introduce the forensic interview through the forensic interviewer, which is fine. I'm stipulating that the foundational requirements for that evidence is admissible. So I would not have any suggestion going a little bit out of order and having that evidence, the actual interview itself, be introduced now, and then tomorrow, this forensic interviewer can come and testify and answer any questions that the parties have about how that interview went, since we're gonna be seeing it anyway, and it's only 2:38. So I don't have it. I mean, I'm not saying that we've got to do it that way, but I don't see a problem with watching the video now and then questioning the next two witnesses tomorrow. The video is about an hour long, I think.
Understand. I think the only issue there would be if the state has some preference about the presentation of the evidence, if they were going to be stopping and starting it and that sort of thing. But I don't know. Ms. McCall, any reason why we should not go ahead and review and publish that interview now?
Your Honor, so yeah, I can play the forensic interview now. I had worked through Miss Patrick's direct on the belief that we were doing a jury trial, which would significantly impact the value of the evidence and how it comes in through Miss Patrick's testimony. But as long as I have some freedom to go back and revisit certain parts during Miss Patrick's testimony tomorrow, I'm fine with playing the full forensic now.
So the bottom line, though, is your plan would be to highlight certain portions of it through Ms. Patrick, regardless of whether it's presented now or when she comes tomorrow.
Yeah, Judge, I give an education on what forensic interview is generally and disclosures of sexual abuse, and then we actually play the full forensic interview, and then we go through different parts of it afterwards. So I can play the full forensic as long as I have the ability to go back to certain parts during Ms. Patrick's interview tomorrow, or testimony tomorrow.
All right. Would there be any reason why for tomorrow, assuming we don't watch it now, you couldn't also just be stopping and starting and having her making her comments in the middle of it, so we don't have to come back and watch second pieces
No,
over again?
there's no reason as to why we couldn't do that tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm fine either way. I'm just.
Right. No, I think it's it's worth exploring and making the best use of our time, but I think it's already been a very efficient day. We've covered a lot of ground, and it sounds like regardless, we'll be reaching the conclusion of this tomorrow. So with that, is there anything else that we can achieve today, or anything else we should take up before we break? Ms. McCauley?
Nothing from the state.
Okay, Mr. Marks?
Nothing from the defense, thank you.
All right. So we'll be in recess then until tomorrow, and we'll just go ahead and say 9 o'clock again. We expect everyone to be back. We'll be ready to go. We'll have the state's final two witnesses and proceed from there.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll be in recess until 9 o'clock. Thank you all. I'm sorry. I don't, what are you looking at? I don't know what you're looking at.
Tell me your thoughts.
What is this? What's it about?
Thank you.
Are they gonna pay you for them? Like, this is just some private party, right?